Hi everyone, welcome to Awkward Author. My name is Lissa Grasso, and this is my weekly vlog and podcast about my sometimes awkward, always awesome author life. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about plotting and outlining and some resources I use to help me that might help you as well. First, I'll catch you up on my writing progress, which honestly, I have not made much progress. I'm moving forward little by little with the book that I'm working on, which is still a first draft. It's the first book in a planned trilogy, 3-book series. And I am at, I think, 79,000 words or so now, which is it's definitely further along than I was last week, so I am making progress. I just wish that I was making more progress, but I'm getting there little by little. And, even as I'm working, still thinking about the next book as well, but trying to stay focused on this one and get this one done and out for you. It was another somewhat busy week here, and just busy with, some day job stuff, busy with, getting settled in here. Yesterday did not get as much done as I normally would on a Monday because I had a delivery coming. I had a new washer and dryer coming, so that was exciting. It is a gift. It's a gift from my boyfriend, actually. It's a housewarming gift from my boyfriend, which is a pretty big housewarming gift. And this is actually the first washer and dryer I have ever owned. I guess that sounds kind of sad. I don't know, but yeah, I'm 43 years old and I finally have my own washer and dryer. So it's like a milestone in my life. And, it's a strange thing to be happy about, but I am happy about it. And just happy not to be going to the laundromat. Although I will say I have gotten work done while waiting for laundry at the laundromat and have worked on outlines and stuff while sitting there, waiting for the dryer to finish and things like that. So, I guess it's not all bad memories, my laundromat memories, but they are memories now. And speaking of outlining and plotting, I decided to share with you some resources that I use, and some of them you're probably familiar with, and some of them you may not be, that have helped me to create outlines and, work on plotting out my books before I actually sit down to write them. And whether you are a plotter or a pantser, it's really up to you and what works for you. I have found that for me personally, I can write books a lot quicker when I have a nice outline created for myself. Without that outline, what happens is I can start going pretty good. I get started pretty good, and then somewhere along the way, I kind of hit a wall. I just run out of steam, and I just can't move forward on my book. And, I have to kind of take a step back, and either it gets, not tossed, but maybe put away somewhere until I'm ready to get some more work done on it, or have a better idea of it, and maybe, I'll sit down and sketch some things out. But that has been my experience anyway, with not using outlines. So, in the interest of being able to write quicker, in the interest of being able to write cleaner, I have become an outliner and a plotter. Everybody, I think, has their own system that works for them. So I wouldn't say, adopt my system. But if you are looking to produce works quicker, if you want things to go smoother, if you want to be able to create something where you're not spending a ton of time rewriting and editing and stuff, you're still going to be editing and revising, but I have found that with an outline going into something, that makes for less rewriting once you're done with the first draft. That's been my experience. So I'm going to share with you some books that have helped me as an author to kind of figure out what the heck I'm trying to say and the best way to go about saying it. And some I'm sure you've heard of, and some may be new to you. So the first book that I'm going to share is a book you've probably heard of before. It's called Save the Cat. It was written by Blake Snyder, who was a screenwriter, and is actually, the subtitle of the book is The Last Book on Screenwriting You'll Ever Need. So it actually is a book about screenwriting, but there's a lot in here that authors can take and use for books. So it is, do keep in mind that it is designed for screenplays, which are different than books, but in the general plotting sense, there's definitely some stuff in here that you can use, and just, the explanation of the different, like plots that a movie can have will kind of fit what a book can have too. And there's an amazing thing that will, I think, totally help you, even if you are just writing books and not screenplays. I would not pay any attention to the page numbers, but on page 70, at least of my paperback copy of Save the Cat, is a what Blake Snyder called the Blake Snyder beat sheet, which basically, just creates a 15-point outline of the different sections, things that need to occur in a story. And it helps you, I think, just to kind of see a very, very basic overview of your plot. So I don't think, well, for me personally, I can't use Save the Cat to create a full outline of a book, but if I want to sketch things out like ahead of time and just kind of see like a rough idea of it, Save the Cat is perfect. So it's a really good starting point for me in outlining any idea, and also to see if like an idea I have it is enough to turn into like a full story. If there's enough meat there, I think, to kind of when you kind of create this rough outline, if you're getting stuck already creating the outline, there might be problems. Your story might not have enough to it, and you might need to rethink it. So Save the Cat is definitely a good starting point for me. Expanding, I guess, on that, and really it's really the other way around. I think Save the Cat really kind of dumbs down what's in the book The Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler. So just to compare, if you're watching on video, like, obviously Save the Cat has a lot less information than The Writer's Journey. But The Writer's Journey is a definitely much more detailed look at creating an outline and, knowing what your story is and where it can go. And as you'll notice, like, all my books have these like little, notes sticking out of them, little post-its and stuff to mark important spots. So The Writer's Journey goes more into depth with things, which definitely, if you're writing a novel versus writing a screenplay, you're going to need. Even popular fiction, I think, is still a lot more complex than your average movie. So not to bash Hollywood or anything like that, but books have a little bit more meat on their bones than movies, and it's just the way they are. I mean, movies are designed to be consumed within a single setting, and most books, I mean, while you can read a book in a single setting, most people are not doing that. So to write a full novel, it's going to take a little bit more than what's in a screenplay, which isn't to say one is better than the other. They're just different. And what I do like about this book is it has, like, at the end of each chapter, there's kind of questions and assignments, which I guess Save the Cat has too, to an extent. So it kind of helps you to kind of figure out things and looks at things. And there's a great, I don't know if I have this bookmarked in here. Anyway, there's a wonderful chart that kind of helps you see things if you are a visual person, kind of like Save the Cat in the sense that it's like a beat sheet, but just a nice visual for outlining and mapping out your books. So those are very similar to me, similar books in what they do, just one goes a little bit more in depth. And these could be good both for outlining a book ahead of time, or if you're at a point in a manuscript when you feel stuck, or even if you're just at the revising stage, it's not too late. It's not too late to seek outside help and gain some new insights for your book. So I think I find it a great benefit to read either one of these books, when I have a complete draft and I know it needs work. They can really help you, if you have that in your head as you're reading, you're going to get a lot of ideas and inspirations, I think, for taking your manuscript to the next level. And then finally, and not really that these are in any particular order, I do love the book Story Genius by Lisa Kron, I'm not sure how you say her last name. And this is definitely a very character-based look into outlining and understanding, how to go about telling your story. There's some things about this book I don't totally agree with, but it is the book I use the most, or the concepts for the book that I use the most when I am actually creating my chapter by chapter outline. That is all coming really from Story Genius. So just to kind of, the way it's laid out, where each chapter, what I actually do is it's comes straight from Story Genius. I sketch out, it's like what happens in the chapter, the consequences of that, the why it matters, how it relates to the overall story, why it matters, and then realization, like how this relates to, something that the character has to understand, usually like from their past, and then, how it gets us to our next chapter, or next, scene or whatever. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm trying to explain it, and there's some great visuals in the book as far as how to create, how to create some like outlines for yourself type of thing. Now, the one thing that I don't totally agree with in this book, it depends on the story you're telling. She focuses a lot on there being an event in the character's past that has shaped them and which is kind of holding them back type of thing, like where they have to get back to that thing in the past and basically set things right in one way or another. There's different ways of looking at it, but I don't always agree that it has to be an event in the past. Now, it depends on what you're writing. If you're writing something like a thriller, a lot of times there is like an event in the character's past, but sometimes, it's going to be something that maybe has happened earlier in the book. If you're writing for children or young adults, usually it's not going to be a flashback to something that happened in the past because they're pretty young. So, usually it's something that has just happened to them, or, it has happened during the course of the story type of thing. But in general, I think a lot of the ideas from Story Genius are very helpful. And again, it's a book, for me, I mostly use it to outline before I write, to really get all the nitty-gritty details in there and make sure that like everything that I'm writing about is something that's gonna, move the story forward, that relates to the plot and, the character development and all those good things, so that I'm not just like randomly writing, which is what happens. I know when we don't have an outline or don't have a very good outline, we end up writing stuff that's good and very eloquent and all, but doesn't really go anywhere. And when you have stuff like that, it hurts your story. And I've read published novels, from major publishers. I'm not gonna, bash on anyone in particular, but you've read stuff, I have too, where it's like, well, what was the point of that? Like, why was this even here? Like, where was the author going with this? And you wonder about that, especially when something like the work I'm thinking of now is like a mystery thriller, and it's like, it's so essential that everything kind of has to relate to everything. And I mean, I guess you could have some misdirection or something, but like, when you have whole scenes where things are happening that like don't relate to anything, it's like, why is this here? So I think Story Genius helps a lot with helping you to hone in on what matters to the story. And I have used it to go back, like when I have a first draft that isn't quite there, and try to figure out, okay, what's working, what's not working, what is part of the book and part of the plot, and what is just filler that doesn't need to be there kind of stuff. So there are a lot of great books on writing. I mean, there's Stephen King's On Writing. There's lots of more general books about writing, but specifically for doing outlines and plotting, these are the three most helpful books for me, and what I do use pretty regularly in crafting my fictions and creating an outline that I can then, use to actually write the book and move forward with the book without getting stuck in the middle, as happens to me anyway, when I don't have an outline or don't have a very good outline created. So in a little bit, I'm going to be getting back into my Story Genius and the writer's journey and Save the Cat to create an outline for the next book I'll be working on. But first I have to finish the first draft of the book I'm working on now, and hopefully that will be very soon. So I hope that helps you. I'll put links below if you are interested in learning some more about the books. They're obviously available anywhere you can buy books. You could also probably borrow them from your local library, which would be my tip, my recommendation, because what works for me might not work for you. And if you do find the book helpful, then you may want to invest in a copy of your own, because you're probably going to use it all the time as you write new books. So anyway, those are my tips. Are there any books that you love and that have helped you a lot to create your books? I'd love to hear more about them, or any other tricks and tips that you have. So please feel free to leave a comment below, or drop me an email. You can find my contact information over at alyssagrosso.com. That's ALISSAGROSSO.com. And hey, while you're there, you could even sign up for my mailing list and download a free copy of my book In the Bag. So thank you guys for watching. I do put out these videos and podcasts every week, just talking about my author life and all that's going on. If you enjoyed, please subscribe or give this a thumbs up, and I will catch up with you again in another week. So happy writing, everyone. Hope you're having a great week there, and keep it awkward, but not too awkward.